Hey guys, I'm Craig Moore with More Horsemanship. We just finished our third ride. We just finished our whip session, and I wanted to introduce softening the feet. So we're gonna start getting the feet ready for hobbles, for picking them up and cleaning them out, for trimming her. But what I want to do is just like every other part of her body, I've tried to teach her to yield and soften it. Now I'm gonna be honest, I've never petted down her legs, and I know that's gonna be against some people's process because they'd never ride a horse, they can't go down their legs. So I'm gonna kind of have to check this out first. I just want to see, that's pretty good, if I can get this rope on. So right here is a 16-foot yacht rope, and which means it's very soft. It's got a loop on one end. Try to keep it on there before she pulls it off. As you can see, she's not thrilled. I'm gonna keep her nose with my lead rope, but right here, I'm actually just gonna let her experiment. The only thing I'm gonna do is every now and again let that rope bump my hand to make sure it doesn't fall off, because that will loosen up and fall off. So, you know, it might bump there, and then I'll leave it loose for a stride or two and let it bump again. Now I'm gonna take her nose, make that moving around harder, release her when she straightens up. Good. Then I might let her feel this a little bit. They will sometimes strike out, so you don't want to be in front of them. And also sometimes what they'll do is pick up and rip their foot back. And I can tell you from experience, I've had 6 blisters on one hand from a horse I was teaching to lead, and it was actually doing really good. And I picked up and was asking it to step forward, and when it picked its foot up, it went like that. And I had a lariat rope on there, and it rope burned my hand pretty quick. So now what I want to do, I don't mind her moving. I'm just going to start softening that foot. So when it's in the air, I'm going to put a little tension in there. I'm going to release it when it's on the ground. What this does is promote stopping movement. So if every time her foot's in the air, that rope pulls on it, she's going to think, well, I'd rather not have my foot in the air. Now I'll pick it up as she's standing, see if she'll lift it. Almost. Good. Well, she almost did. Early on when I'm teaching things, I'll reward even when there's not always something to reward for. So there, she almost did something. So now I'll just pull a little harder. She kind of proved. There we go. Release when she picks her foot up. Now she's proven to be very smart, so it's probably not going to take her very long to figure out. Good. Now, I'll start to pair this with petting down her leg. Pet down her leg, and then I'll see if I can soften her foot. And that's the first time I've ever petted down her leg. Good. So then I'll pet down her leg, and maybe I won't go as far. Maybe that bothered her. Good. Pet down the leg, and then pick it up, because this is the process we're going to go to pick her foot up. We're going to go down her leg, and then we're going to pick her foot up. And this first day, I'd like to get to where maybe I can just pick this foot up and hold it long enough to take that rope off. And if I don't get there, that's okay. But you can see we're just being very consistent and repeating this process. Pat down the leg, pick up the foot. Good. That time, when the foot was in the air, I held it just for a split second to see if she was going to pull it harder, soften it, what she might do. See if I can hold it. Good. And I don't know if somebody's done this or not. She doesn't act like they've done it with the rope, even if they have done it a little bit. Good girl. Good. Now I'll start to see maybe if I can hold that foot with my hand or pick it up with my hand. Good. She got a little bothered. So as she went to pick her foot up, I just backed off because I could tell she wasn't a big fan. Good. There, I held it just for a second. Start again. Good. Now they'll slam that foot down a little bit at first. What you can do to start getting them better about not slamming that foot down is start asking her to lead with that foot. And you can use your lead rope as a crutch. I don't generally do this loose. I have before, but it just takes so long. So there, I'll just pick that foot up when it's in the air and ask it to step to me a little bit. There. Pretty soon her body will start to follow. And I know I'm cheating with the rope on her there. I don't want to be directly in front of her, so I'll stay a little to the inside. Now, I don't mind her fighting this because she's got to figure out pulling on that doesn't really work. But right now, It's not like it's tied to a stake and gonna hurt her. Good. Give her a little mental break here. I don't just want to work. If you sit there and work them too long, they just get to thinking, well, there's nothing in it for me. So I'll pick this up again. There. She's starting to kind of let me set it over. Good. Give her a little break again. You got to be really aware of what you're after and try to get that horse's mind trained more than just their body. I just want her foot to soften. There, she's fighting a little. Now, I am starting to up the ante. Like, I'm pulling a little harder. I'm holding a little longer. I'm waiting for a little better response. Good, that was a little better. She kind of picked her foot up and had this little tiny pause. But like I said, you got to tell them something's right or they're just not going to figure this out. Good. I'll try to kind of bring that foot forward a little bit because she's just kind of wanting to suck back. So now I'm going to soften it forward because there. Kind of the opposite of what she's thinking. You've probably heard a lot of people talk about leading a horse with their foot. Good. And all you're really doing is teaching them to soften and give to that pressure on a different part of their body. They've got it up. There we go. Good. And here we'll change gears just a little bit. Good. We'll just pick up. Every time that foot's on the ground, we'll put a little pressure on it. Good. So there, she figured out to unweight it a little longer. So she had to get ready and weight her other 3 feet. Good. So I'll do about 3 reps of this. Good. That was actually really nice at the end. So I was lifting and she got her foot up and she felt me. But instead of really ripping it away from me, she just kind of did one of those. So for me, that's progress. And that's all I'm looking for is just to get a little better. She's not going to progress as good as some. And I'm going to say it's because she's probably just a little more foot sensitive. Good. Than some horses. So when you get to this stage where you're asking her to pick that foot up and think about holding it, what you want to do is put pressure on it, and when it comes in the air, release it. And when it gets back to the ground, pick it up again. And when it gets in the air, release it. So she hits the pressure when the foot's on the ground. But after 2 or 3 or 4, you got to find a reason to quit asking. Because pretty quick, they're going to get frustrated. They're going to quit trying. They're going to say, there's nothing in it for me. So that's why when I get out of that and I talk to you guys, good. That last one, she let me hold it up for a second. There's a little weight in it, but you can just see her mind going where she's starting to say like, oh, this ain't that bad. So we may not get to where we can hold her foot today. She's just a little bit more sensitive than I thought she might be, which is good. So you guys can see this is the real horse training stuff here. Very nice. Good. Now I'll start petting down her leg a little bit again. Now if you pet down one's leg and they're as sensitive as this one, make sure your lead rope isn't too long where they can't jump forward and kick you. Good. And then right now I'm just getting in and getting out, helping her understand, hey, not gonna hurt you. Good. I gotta be able to get down there to get that rope off, or I do have a hook if I had to use it, but I don't think I'll have to use it. So you can see how close my hand is to that foot right now. So I'm getting closer to being able to pick her foot up, but this rope allows me to still keep my hand about a foot away and build her comfort. Good. Really good there. So right there, she'll kind of let me take it off. I may just loosen that for the day. Good. Now she's a lot more comfortable there. And I'll just lead her out of it. So we'll end the video there today because I've got a lot of work to do that's just time consuming, and you can watch it, but it's just going to be replicating all those things I showed you where you might pet down the leg, you might soften it up, you might lead them. You're just finding that resistance and you're softening that leg, but keeping yourself in a safe place while you do it and you're using a soft rope and you're doing it in a way that you shouldn't get hurt, they shouldn't get hurt, and just teach them to give. Just like in the head lowering, just like in the leading of one. You know, if you were teaching one to lead, you'd pick up, and when they come, you release. And obviously she leads really good, so we'll try to get her feet a little bit better like that. And then we'll keep you updated as we go. We'll get her hobble broke here this week or next week or something, so we'll keep you guys updated on that. But this is the very beginning of hobble breaking one that's a little more wild and touchy. You need to soften the foot quite a bit so that they give to it and they don't fight it. So hopefully that helps you guys, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. So we're at day 2 now of working on her front feet. We could go to the hind feet today. She did good enough on the front feet. I was really surprised. You guys got to see everything from yesterday, but we come out today and I didn't have a camera person, so I put the rope on and started picking up, and she went around a circle or two and then settled in and realized, like, oh, just pick it up. And I mean, twice as good as we finished yesterday. Go to pick up and she was figuring out to hold that foot up. So one thing with this process, some horses might take more days of just softening it whatever way you can before they start to realize it's okay to just lift it up. So I just wanted to show you where we got to today. She may not be perfect, but she's just getting to where she'll let me pick her feet up and hold them. And we probably spent, maybe 3 to 5 minutes on the first foot with the rope, and then maybe just 2 minutes on the right front with the rope before she kind of had it. And she would let me pick her foot up and hold it and try to hold it by that hoof. But you can see right there just a ton of progress from yesterday to today, because she just figured out, like, hey, no problem, soften that foot up. Very nice. Now she's wanting to move it. Good. So right there, she picked that right front foot up, and then she was doing this, kind of like she wanted to take it away, and I just tried to stay with her. And then when she would try to take it away, I would kind of pick up, release, pick up, release until she settled, and then I would set it down. So that's how you get those horses to where they're a lot better about holding their foot up and setting it down. So we'll continue on with this and just try to show you guys how we just keep progressing over their feet. But it's a good habit to pick your horse's feet up every day once you can, and just show them it's okay. That repetition is going to teach your horse, like, hey, it's okay. You pet them. It's actually kind of a moment of relaxation for some of them where you're resting, you're not working. So that's day 2 with the front feet. More horsemanship. So I want to show you the next step in getting your horse ready for the hobbles. So we've had this rope on her feet and led her around and got to where we could pick it up, and then transition to our hand and pick it up. The next step for me is I'm going to tie up each leg individually, because if you tie a horse's legs together, they can make friction. They'll rub hair off, they'll burn themselves. So when you kind of chicken wing one up, and then you just manage the lead rope so that horse doesn't get confused and fall over backwards or anything, it's a very safe way to teach them. It also really gets your horse ready for the horseshoer, because they've got to learn to balance on 3 legs. And if every time you're holding them for more than 5 seconds and they start to lean and then they jerk their foot out and step, they learn, like, oh, I could just jump, reach over and catch myself. So then they might get in the habit of just leaning and then catching themselves. So the first time I trim one, I tie their foot up and I do it, and I go fast. You know, it's not like it's tied up very long, but it just helps that horse understand to be patient and wait for you, and it just makes it safer for you and them. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to put this loop on her foot. There's several ways to tie their foot up. Don't get caught up in which way, whatever way you like. You know, depending on how gentle your horse is too, you know, that may change how you do it. But I'm going to go up over her back and half hitch it around her foot, and then maybe get one knot off there. You can see she's still not super thrilled with this, but she is starting to understand it. So we'll go ahead and see if we can start softening this foot. Good. So I'll wait here if I can till she kind of starts to accept that. Oh, I probably had a chance I could let go. Good, there. So you wait for that spot where they get a little better. So what I'll do is go up around their back here like this. Bring it here, and so when I get that foot up, I'll lift the rope over her back and take the slack out. I might just wait there. Good. Now I'll release that there. Good. So she just started to get the understanding to wait right there. We'll start again. So lift this rope to her foot and then pull the slack out. I could throw a half hitch on here. 1, 2, and then tie a knot. Just one more little knot to keep those from coming loose. But now, when a horse, I'm going to let her go forward around me in a circle if she wants to. I'm not asking her to, but she's working through this. There she's licking and chewing. So it may take her a minute to understand, but this is a very safe way to teach one to understand to soften their foot without having them tied together. So a lot of times when people show you the hobbling, they just do a few things and put the feet together. Well, if you're going to restrict the feet, you might as well do it one at a time. And I keep a hold of the lead rope to keep their nose inside the circle so they'll go up and around me. You wouldn't just want them to run around your round pen. Now when she starts to relax like this, we might come up here, pick it up, see about maybe taking it off for a second. So now we'll give her a little break so she can realize, we don't want her to think there's never a release. And that's where some people get in a jam, is they just never give that horse a release. But for me, this is the most important step to teaching one to hobble, because they've got to understand there's not much they can do. They're restricted, and some people don't agree with this type of restriction. But if you tie them up or you put them in a horse trailer, there's all kinds of different levels of restricting a horse's movement, and this is just one more to help that horse understand. So we'll take this up again, do that one more time. Good. And this is likely how I'll have her foot the first time I trim her. And it'll go fast. It'll be like nip off some toe, hit it with the rasp, and just help her understand. So right there, if she wants to back up, I'm going to kind of get behind her and just encourage, if she needs to move, to go forward. That going backwards deal is where it kind of gets dangerous. There, she relaxed. Good girl. I generally just start to step around them, and that alleviates that. Either I can kind of pat my leg a little to push them forward. See, if a horse is committed to going back, you don't want to put a lot of pressure on them because they'll probably go back harder. But if I just step around them, for one, I've got their nose, which kind of promotes forward. And for two, I'm behind them. So when you combine those two things, they'll go forward. You can also start to get your horse ready here. Pick up, maybe pat their foot, pet around their leg. Good. Good. Now, that's real good for her second one there. Awesome. Awesome. We'll do the same thing on the other side, but let me take this off real quick. Good. So that right there is a good clip of days 1, 2, and 3, working with those feet, helping that horse progress every day. But always focusing on softening that foot. Just teach them to give. The more they give to you and give to pressure, the safer they are, and generally the safer we are. So a lot of people talk about their horse maybe getting hung up in a fence. Well, this is a really safe simulation for getting hung up. I know people are going to be bothered by this, but this is really safe simulation. We prepared her for 2 days. You know, some people think preparation's 3 months, but it's not. It's just when you start to notice that horse is ready for the next step, you take it. I would say when I was growing up, they started to realize that a lot of kids were actually doing worse in school because school wasn't going fast enough for them. So you might have a kid that's not as smart, and you might have a kid that's too smart, and it's bad on both sides. You got to slow down for one, and you need to speed up for the other one. Keep them engaged and learning and moving forward. So that's one thing we try to do, is go as quickly as we can, but with the horse in mind. Like, I'm not going as fast as I can. I could go faster, but I'm going as fast as I can with this horse to get her to a good place in life, and, you know, also keep her interested. And man, she's doing so much better every day. And I don't normally call horses smart, but she's one of the smarter ones I feel like I've had. Like, even working through that, she'll be real bothered, and pretty quick she's like, okay, no problem, I got it. And so that's day 3. We may try to get her trimmed today. She's got a little extra toe in the front, and we'll take that off today, and then tomorrow we'll start on the hind feet. I'll show you guys how to start doing those. It's pretty much the same as the front. I just don't have a real good method for tying a hind foot up, so I normally don't. A lot of people do, but I just soften them a lot, and then I kind of progress from there. So, all right, thanks for watching. That's day 3 with Hannah working on her feet.